do, do, do. Welcome, creatives, community, and kind folks. Welcome to RPG with DBJ. Uh, I am your host, DBJ, and all of you are the co hosts on this show as we continue our review during the month of February. All right. Thank you guys for being part of the show. We are going to take a look at something called Boricubos. It is from Legendary Games, and it is a Caribbean setting, of course, taking place in the Caribbean islands, Puerto Rico, and the hundreds of Caribbean islands pre-colonization and settlement from the outside world. This is a fantasy setting. It is here fifth edition compatible. There might actually be other game systems it is compatible with, but this is the one I picked up as well as the PDF. So we're going to take a look at it, page through it, and talk about the some of the details and some of the fun things and basically. Uh, I feel like I'm a consummate storyteller, and I love settings that give me plenty of space to do my thing. So I'm all for it. Hey Z, hey Mike, what's going on? And welcome everybody else who, especially the brand new people who are part of the show. This month of February is odd because normally I'm a talking head, right? Yeah, yeah. As I hear the music in my head, because it like cuts off, and I haven't figured out how I can get the music to blend out and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Mike's like do 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 do. So you're surprised by a da da da. Let's roll some dragon turtles. So anyway, he crits. What do you do? They're like "Brrr, what? Brrr." Anyway, let's get into it. So of course you can see on the cover here, we've got some kind of like frog people and people down here, and this setting is a love letter to the original peoples of the um, Caribbean Isles, known as the Taino and the Arawak. And now in a modern setting, for those who don't know, especially from people overseas, down the south of the United States, there is the Caribbean, and often there's maybe 5 to 10 islands that most of us know about, and the largest ones. We're talking Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Cuba, and so on and so forth. But there are hundreds of islands. For every large island, there are probably a few dozen smaller islands off their coasts that are populated, and then there's hundreds of ones that are just no more than sandbars. And some of these islands actually appear and disappear through tide changes and things like that. It's pretty incredible. Yeah. John Wright says I visited St. Thomas and St. John and Trinidad back in my Navy days. Oh, wow. Thank you for your service. So this should bring back good memories. Yeah, it's this setting to me brings a vibrancy and a light that is not really seen in like grim dark settings. It's very to me it brings about a very colorful setting. Now, as I flip through this, there is a I don't want to say there's a problem with the book, but it does have a bit of a gloss to the pages, so it doesn't lend itself to wanting to stay open. Um, it's actually not a bad thing because with the glossy page, you get Cheeto dust on it, you can just brush it off and you're fine. But but yeah, of course we got our table of contents. Oh, thanks, Mike. He's like, yeah, if he's not singing and dancing in his seat. Um, so here's an archipelago of Boricubos. I'm sure I'm butchering the pronunciation. Uh, I'm putting, I am improperly placing the improper emphasis on the incorrect syllable. I'm pretty sure. Um, Z's like, yeah, the best grimdark settings are bright and cheerful looking in the environments. Yeah, and dark in the backgrounds. So there are a number of, oh, by the way, of course, this archipelago of islands is not correct for our modern day setting, but it is endemic of like how the Caribbean is set up. There's like large islands and then smaller ones off the coast. So this lends itself to a nautical adventure as well. And uh, you can make this small nautical. I don't know a proper definition. I'm sure you guys are smarter than me, but small nautical meaning like small craft PCs can get in small dinghies, boats, skiffs, those kind of things to go from island to island without necessarily having to charter giant sized uh, craft to get from one place to another. You don't necessarily have to do like the weeks long passage through dangerous waters, but you can. Okay, so um, this game is equal parts number of things. One of them are the deities of Boricubos, and much like the weather in the Caribbean, where many days it's very calm and sunny, you get a nice warm breeze. It's the bright and cheerful, right? And then all of a sudden, you'll get volcanic activity. You'll get typhoons and hurricanes and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, Zamar says, island hopping style games are where you're on rafts instead of capital ships. Exactly. And this way you can, again, I'm terrible description. In this way, you could, when you have like small craft by going from island to island, each island, what I love about sailing adventuring is like, it's basically, um, every time you go to another island, it's like going to another world. You can very easily have very unique environments and creatures and factions on different islands and create new islands because no one really knows how many islands there are or even how far they are until they exist in your world, right? So it's each island can be its own, dare I say, dungeon, and I like that a lot, especially when you have new environments and isolated communities and things of that nature. And so the gods in this setting in Boricobos are at odds with each other, and they are enlisting the people that live on the islands to engage in their battles. The battles between the storm lords and the volcanic queens and all that kind of stuff. And so there's this isn't a world where all the gods exist in peace and the PCs just worship them. No, they're pretty manipulative, and the people of these islands, especially the player characters, I'm sure. But some people that worship them are, with the player characters encountering them are like, why are you worshiping the volcanic god? Like you do realize you're murdering your people, and so that's a big thing. Now, we'll get into the races in just a minute when we get to some of my co-hosts. The DBJ, here's your player challenge. You are to play a charlatan who pretends to be a noble, and the giveaway is that they place the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllables. That is how you pronunciate each word. I, I guess you could make a whole accent like that, but it'd be crazy. Mike says island hopping campaigns give you a chance to make several microcosms all separated. Yeah, 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 yeah. Mini deer and cat sized ants. Yeah, hell's yes. So here we get into the races. They still use the term races, but whatever, it doesn't matter. We all get what it means. These are tropical flower people, very colorful, and there are sub races of these tropical flower people. Kind of cool. We do have the Barracudan or Barracudan. They are Barracuda style merfolk. Uh, Pretty cool. We got some reasonings for adventuring, details in that way. Frog people, you got to have some frog people, and so on and so forth. It does. The book does tend. Part of me wishes that they used maybe a little bit of a subtle layout. These hard lines here, and this is just it's a very minor nitpick. I wish they used more of a softer. They could have used more of a softer layout, just because they have like a green hint, and then there's like a watermark on the page. You really can't see it in this light, but there's a tribalistic watermark on the page, and that I really like, and it kind of pulls me into the world. Um, these are very interesting Genasi styled race, the Huracan, and then there's the Wallaki or Wallakai. Anyway, the Huracan are aquatic and aerial, as well as we'll get to the ones that are volcanic, that are earth and fire. So I says, okay, as someone who came face to face with the Barracuda once, I don't trust them with my fingers or shinies or at all. They're pretty brutal people in this world. They're quick to anger, and they hold grudges. So yeah, I wouldn't trust them either. Bird folk, tropical bird folk. I like the idea of the tropical nature of the bird folk, very colorful. You, of course, you can absolutely Google yourself a bunch of tropical birds and base them on that. Thrown in here, the humans, the Tainem, or the Taino people, of course, plainly human. Bu-bu-bu. He had some quirks and such. By the way, this book was written by a cast and crew of uh, people who are from the region. So if we take, sorry, I know, I know. I'm going back all the way to the front. It's a little difficult to see all the names and such, but yeah, you'll see that the majority of, or at least half the staff, are naturally from the region, uh, Caribbean region, and such. So kind of cool. John Rice says, even in a modern day, the different islands have their own vibe. Yeah, yeah, they do. When I went to the Virgin Islands, St. John was a constant bouncing party, while St. Thomas was mega chill and laid back. Oh, if you, and listen, I'm a guy of a certain age, which means I like to go cruising. And maybe that's wrong to say, but yeah, a bunch of older folk, we like to go cruising, and I love it, the I the vibe from different islands. Like I've um, been to St. John, St. Thomas, St. Kitts, um, Barbados, and then there's like smaller places. Of course, you can go to Nassau and Cuba, not Cuba, Puerto Rico. Wow, Cozumel, Cayman Islands, yeah, St. Lucia, and they're all different. They are all different. Um, some of the differences come from the age of piracy and colonization, but pretty interesting. And because of just the general nature of an island means that most people don't really have an easy ability to leave, and so it's very easy for the culture to remain un unchanged for longer periods of time. You know what I mean? So you get some artwork here, kind of cool. What's strange is the tropical bird folk are like mercenaries. They're that's kind of cool, and again, this is a setting in which civil war, conflict, that kind of thing. This is one of the most interesting pieces of art, and I part of me it bothers me a little bit because I'm like, why is the shark dude riding the back of his friend? Like, that's how how do you differentiate one as a sentient species and the other one like a pet or a mount? What? Huh? I'm a little confused. It I find it so wrong and so right. A shark a shark person riding on the back of a hammerhead another hammerhead shark with ropes tied around the hammerhead eyes. That is so cool and dangerous. Like if blood goes in the water, which one are you more fearful of? I'm fearful of the shark dude, but that's just me. I think Zamar brings up a good point. Like if it's yeah, Is it civil war if it's war? Also, if they think themselves different cultures and people, yeah, yeah, it like like if they're from different islands, essentially they're different nations. So yeah, and of course there's a lot of conflict. The conflict starts because the gods are battling amongst themselves, kind of representing the elemental nature of the Caribbean islands, where you get these stretches of peace, and then all of a sudden it's like hurricane after hurricane, and storms and earthquakes and volcanoes. That uh, we know volcanoes and earthquakes make or shift the islands and such as well. And this is that kind of world where it's translated into social interactions. Hey, we've got lots of peace until there isn't anymore. And then the gods are recruiting, you know, mortal beings into their conflicts. And then there's people who are like, I'm staying out of it. Uh, this guy's got six packs just like me. And I don't think so. But yes, you are correct, Z. Like, is it really civil war? I don't know. I suppose you could consider it air quotes a civil war, since if you consider all of the Boricubos, the proto fantastical Caribbean islands, as a complete whole. But I don't know. I don't think the definition. I don't believe they're worried about the definition. I think they're worried about living and dying and such. Yeah, there's a shamanic new class and things like that. Mike's like, I've seen smaller dogs ride larger dogs during their play. It's fair. Yeah, shark riding sharks. Uh, you know what? I To this day I still have a problem with that. John Rice says that's like Disney's Goofy and Pluto. They're both dogs. It doesn't make any sense. How's a dog own another dog? It hurts my head. Yeah, Mike's like, let's face it, Five East. Here we go with the pronunciation. Sahogan would look better with proper shark heads. I agree with that. I think I've seen lots of their art with like lamprey style heads. Uh, but yeah. So I was like, good darn it, DBJ. Now I have my next campaign setting. War of the Gods. Yeah. The PCs have to choose which of the three sides they will support. Anyone who doesn't is an enemy of all sides. And that is exactly, yeah, can't trust those who won't commit. Yep. That's exactly what the setting is derived from, as well as, for example, um, trading and having negotiations and even meeting. Hey, Druden, um, meeting with new individuals from different islands. You also have the it's like first contact is also possible in this setting. You have again trade negotiations. Maybe the player characters uh, are in charge of or protectors of a particular community, and so the players it's not whether the players can beat ass and take names, but maybe they are agents of a community, and that danger could befall them if the player characters don't appease the gods or settle the spirits, or heck, just trade and have equal parts negotiation and trade with a local community. Yeah, and you guys are bringing up many of I'm guaranteed Naga and Yuan-Ti and Koatoa, like which depending on how you look at them, are they lamprey style, barracuda, shark-ish kind of, using all the aquatic and amphibian style monsters and enemies, I think is really appropriate for this setting, especially trying to find some differences between what's aquatic and what is amphibian. There's a good look, a really cool action piece with one of the I'm not going to butcher their names, the volcanic folk, kind of earth and fire combined, and there's one of the tropical bird folk as well coming in. He could be a monk. Mm, 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 mm. Let's see. Oops. All right, we're going to flip through a little. couple of more images. If I'm not mistaken, I believe this is the mane and shoulders, the head and shoulders of one of the plant folk, tropical plant folk. I can imagine the tropical plant folk like digging their feet into the soil and then closing up their leaves around their bodies and stuff, around their heads, like the whatever their shoulder, head and shoulder colorful portion is folds up around their heads while they sleep. I think that would just be really awesome. Mm-mm-mm. Here they have a pirate picture. I piracy in the islands, I think, is a it seems to go hand in hand. Um, I would include it, especially if you want to. If especially, oh yeah, there you go, salamanders. Yep. Oh no. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Zamora like, no more flying monks. I'm tired of my NPCs being dropped. Sorry, little D and D DM PTSD. Yeah, it's like the eye roll starts happening. It's like here comes the player character. I'm gonna fly up and grab the enemy and drop them, and you're just shaking your head and rolling your eyes like doing a very long pronunciated fuck. I get it. I definitely get it. Yeah. Yeah, Z. Always flying. Now I will admit though, listen, if you get a PC who's flying, my first comment would be, "Oh, so you want to play a flying raced PC? Okay. Guess what? You're not a special snowflake. There's a whole bunch of other flying things out there. Of course, we have our bestiary, different types of dragons and things. These coastal dragons, I kind of like the idea of these more Game of Thronesy, more primal, not primal, bestial vampires, wyvern. We got brine dragons and coral drakes and lava drakes and jungle drakes and such. I like the untamed nature of this kind of setting because you there's a way to twist the dials. There's also a number of adventures in here. I don't want to give too much away on the adventures. There's like 3 adventures in here. I like there's one that has a timer on it. 6 days till sacrifice is the name of this one, and I love things with timers in it. I think it's an underutilized tool in our tool chest. So anyway, this is there's some NPCs here, some reused art, but we have some iconic NPCs. You can throw them around, and the NPCs aren't actually that powerful. They're just uh, they could be player characters, things like that. So anyway, this is the book that I wanted to share with you. Let's get into the PDF while we talk about various types of adventures and settings. Do 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 do. Let's get this a little bit larger. Okay, so this is the um, this isn't your vision is not double. One is the actual cover, and one is the inside cover, a little bit translucent and such, and just allows me to easily page through this as well. Let me get the chat, get this as big as possible, and then get back into the chat while I get to a nice spot. Again, for me, just the idea of like the colorfulness and the brightness lends itself to having like peace and tranquility, maybe festivals and a hope that is not often seen in like grimdark settings. But then you just twist it because it also means that when the pain comes, when the horror comes and the destruction, it's like, oh no, man, we had a good time. We were playing on the beach and you know drinking out of coconuts and all that kind of stuff, and then all of a sudden here comes the horror. Problems in paradise. Let's see what the trap is. Yeah, Zamar says, I love that. Human level NPCs. PCs are no more powerful than that at the start. Maybe I didn't need to make my own system. Yeah, I don't know. I just appreciate the idea. And they it while this is a setting, it also gives a lot of hints about like just changing not changing the rules, but changing the flavor of what it is that uh, uh, um, changing the flavor of the things that we find. Like, for example, instead of going to a market to buy a potion, maybe there are fruits or roots, vegetables, plant life, seeds, and things out in nature that actually represent those other things. As well as the fact that a lot of the islands, could be very, very untamed. Game Master Toolbox says, "Is this Pathfinder 2?" This version of it is not Pathfinder 2. It is fifth edition compatible. If I can, let me. Can I go to? Sorry for the click. Sorry. Let's find. Uh, let's look up Legendary Games and see if they have a version that is not. Let's see. Compatibility PDF and print, but it doesn't say which version. So let's go over to Drive Through RPG. Sorry guys, because it's a very good question. All right, let's look it up. Duh. Ooh, there we go. It looks like it just says Pathfinder RPG. Is that P1? Sneak peek. Mhm. All right, I'll share the screen. Hold on. Mm-mm-mm, mm-mm, mm-mm. The stream. Let's close this down and then. Oops. Chrome tab. Let's share this out. Okay, so here we are with. Oh, did I share it? Please tell me it's up there. No, it isn't. Mm-mm, mm-mm. Let's look together. I'm pretty sure it's first edition. Mm-mm. Free PDF view for the 5e version as well. There we go. Okay. This project offers both books not only for Pathfinder RPG and Pathfinder Second Edition as well as D&D 5e. So there is a version for both of them. I mean, for all three. Hmm. This was a Kickstarter, so and I'm on Drive Through RPG. On their own on Legendary Games website, I don't see a difference, but I bet I'm not sharing this at the moment, but I bet if I go to if I select one, they're probably going to ask me which version. Add to cart. Mm-mm. Yeah, I don't. Fifth edition came up. Sorry, dear. Sorry. Distracted myself. Sorry about it. Oh, Paizo has a P2 and 5e version. Okay, all right. Druden mentioned since the untamed island exploration seems like something I might enjoy. Cognitive distance. I love that in every form of entertainment. Yeah, yeah. Druden. I didn't want to say anything like that. Uh, yeah, Druden mentioning like saying that like yeah, I'm usually not into wilderness exploration, but just realize that I just find it boring when it's just another Eurocentric environment. Yeah, this is more. You know, think about it. Um, let's see. Mm-mm. No, I'm looking at the back end of the book, and it's actually got a page for other for any fan of for any 5e fan. Legendary Games All Star Creative Team, led by award-winning game designer Jason Nelson, creates some of the very best fifth edition books around. Monsters, Legendary Games. Well, and I bet it's because I'm holding a fifth edition book. Maybe they changed the back page advertisement. All right, sorry guys. Sorry. I apologize. Let's shrink this down. Oops. What the heck just happened there? Mm, 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 mm. Let's get back into my window. Sorry, my I got a very heavy click um, roller thingy thing going on here. So sorry about that. Just because of the sound. All right. So again, kind of bringing a little bit of what Judenfuzz is talking about in terms of using this realm to explore and run your games and such. I think oftentimes we take exploration. How to explain this? Like we don't often combine exploration naturally into our gaming experience. And what I like about this setting, the archipelago, small sailing type of thing, you could very easily insert some of those exploration issues, hacking through dense jungles, climbing mountains, swimming into maybe swimming underwater to get into a grotto or something like that, without having to have your entire campaign wrapped around oddities and difficulties in using the rules when it comes to exploration in the first place. Because for the most part, most of us, including myself, and I consider myself to be the undisputed third pillarist of the tabletop RPG community. I dare somebody to knock me off my post. um, Even I don't remember all the swimming rules and the holding your breath rules and the hot temperature rules and the the difficult terrain, hacking through jungle rules and whatnot. Now I can come up with many of them on the fly, and as a matter of fact, that's exactly what the cinematic environs books were about. That I had written that I'm actually not done writing. Many additions to them. One of the issues is that it's difficult because we have an atrophied muscle when it comes to adding those things in, and some of it is actually common sense, but we just don't apply it to our games. Meaning, like in a dense jungle, when you're using spell or targeting effects, if you can't see your target, an ally or an enemy, can you use that ability? And the answer would be no, if it requires you to see what you are targeting, even though they might be very short distance away. And it could get kind of complicated as well. For example, if again having a battle in a dense jungle, if everyone is behind, say for example, cover or some kind of limiting factor for vision, whether it's lightly obscured or heavily obscured, I can see someone going, well, if everyone has light obscurement and is behind, say, half cover, doesn't isn't that a wash? And the answer would be no, because if an ally gets hit and goes down or is knocked prone or paralyzed and you can't see them, how do you save them? Whereas at the same time, maybe your rogues and rangers in the party are going around and sniping folks, bad guys in the jungles. As a player character, you could maybe hear everything that's going on, but you may not be able to use like healing spells or Misty Step and I'm just trying to think of things off the top of my head that just makes environmental challenges that much more complicated. Mm, 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 mm. Hey, mm, 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 mm. Z, you're so funny. Mm, mm, mm. These are the Huracan. Kind of cool. Storms personified. And this is very classic fifth edition. I believe this was written in. and successfully kickstarted in where's the 22, first printing January 22. So if it was January 22, that meant this was going on through 21. So this isn't exactly brand new, but I owned it. I wanted to show it to you guys. This is a Black and Indigenous people of color review month for me. Something I haven't done before, so I was like, "Hey, look, there's a reason why I get some of these games," and I thought I'd get them here. I even like the idea. This is a very small, minor thing, but I even like the idea that there's a guy standing here smiling. Um, I don't think that detracts from the dangers and lethalness of the region, but I like the idea that there's equal parts joy and in danger. And I think the joy part of it, sometimes we underserve the joy part in our tabletop role playing games. So I think things like having sporting competitions, like who can climb, be the fastest to climb the top of the mountain, which team of player characters could use a small boat and navigate through treacherous waters because there's eddies and whirlpools and sharp rocks or something. And maybe you the idea is that we can only have a trade treaty if you're a real navigator or sailor or something, and maybe the player characters are on boats, and the other side is cheating, and the player characters are casting spells and shooting weapons to the other boat to try to get somewhere to get there the fastest and whatnot. Here's the sorry, I'm going to go back up to the image and their name. Um, the Wolokan, Wala, Wolakan. There is an accent over the A. So I believe I am placing the proper emphasis right there in the middle. Walakan. I think it's just really cool. Beings of earth and fire. There's some names here. We've seen these kind of things before in the racial descriptions in A5, in about to say A5E in fifth edition. Seen it before, and there's different types of igneous Woolakan, lava Woolakan, and magma Woolakan. Depends. Are you more uh, heat related or earth related, basically? And here we go through some of the classes and some of the recontextualizing of the classes. So, in terms of like, what's the difference between a bard and a barbarian and things of that nature? Bards, College of Spies, and College of Reliquaries, and recontextualizing them. Bards here, storytellers, musicians, in the classic sense, keeping stories alive, and lore masters, clerics. Of course, we have to have various different domains. And whether we respect the gods, do we listen to them, do we try to appease them to get them out of our lives? Circle of shifters, circle of blight for the druids. We have the fighters, soldier of fortune. Kind of cool to be a to be a colorful bird, soldier of fortune. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, Deadman says like hurricane, probably pronounced like hurricane. I'm with you on that one. I'm with you on that one. Yeah, because they're basically hurricane people. Zabar is like every anime needs a beach episode, and every TTRPG needs a shopping session. Yes, shopping sessions. Oh, Blades in the Dark does a really good job in getting rid of shopping. There's a it's quantum. You have quantum backpacks. Backpacking, basically, you pick a light load, medium load, heavy load, but you don't pick the items that you have, and then you're able to quantumly describe that you've always had the item, so you don't have to do shopping and such. But I know that probably pisses off a number of players. Are like, oh man, I wanted to go shopping again. Yeah, John Rice points out something I thought about. Like, it would be cool if Magic users could have like aquatic familiars such as dolphins or large sea turtles. I would, if not in here, I would definitely allow that. Or here's another thing that I think we don't give a lot of credence to, and that's just reskinning stuff, right? Like just adding an amphibious or aquatic quality to say a familiar small animal or even large beasts or monsters is just a great way to change up those monsters. As a matter of fact, if you just layer on an environment onto a monster that it's not normally seen in, how cool is that? Like, one of my favorite dangerous monsters is, of course, displacer beasts. Love them. I love boulets, the land sharks. And if you just change them up and make them like amphibious or jungle related or something like that, even volcanic related, how sweet would that be? Here we go with the Shark Rider once again, riding his best friend, and not in a good way. Yeah, Mike brings up quippers, seahorses, octopus as familiars. Of talking about the ones that are available under Find Familiar. Yeah, and I would change them out too. Or if somebody had a great idea, yeah, or recontextualize the ones that are there. Like, I don't know, if someone wants an owl, but you're like, could I have that be a flying fish instead of like an owl or something? I'm like, yeah, who cares? Yeah, of course, why not? What's an aquatic bird? Is it a aquatic tropical bird? I think it's a puffin. It's colorful. It swims under the water. It I think it's a puffin. That's what I call. Yeah, you guys talking about like using different systems and why people don't. That we're kind of going through that writ large. Mike mentions to one of our other co-hosts, Samara, that some people only want to make the effort to learn a system. They crave familiarity and acceptance and may not want to learn another, the life of the ultra casual player. And we're going through that writ large right now because the with Watsy punching us all in the face and then trying to apologize for the punch, and we're just like, well, f you, guy, or whatever. I don't know how to contextualize that. A lot of channels like myself are talking about other game systems or alternatives to whatever Watsy throws out there. Which, if you still want to play fifth edition and things like that, and as players, I'm sure players are looking around like, who moved my cheese? I was used to playing this one system, and now everyone's talking about all these other systems, and I don't want to learn those systems. Fold arms, lower, pout, stick out lower lip or something. And so we'll see how it turns out. I'm a pretty positive person, but yeah. Drew's like, give me my beach sessions at RPGs. Keep your shopping sessions. Yeah, yeah, hanging out on the beach, hanging out with your friends and stuff. And listen, the beach scene. As I know you're being a little silly, but not really, because the beach scene. Why wouldn't that just replace your tavern? This is like, Caribbean style adventuring and stuff. The tavern would be a bonfire on the beach. That's exactly what that would be. And you have your drama there and player characters socializing and things like that. Yeah. Z says, "Hey, I support both in my system. Took me a while to figure out how without a strict currency system, but I got it." Yeah, with the shopping and such. Yeah, Zamar says puffins and penguins. Yep, yep, yep. Both can be found in the tropics. That is true. John Wright says a tropical parrot like pirates have. Yep. Puffins are North Atlantic. Yeah. Mm. All right, let's keep on paging through this. Oops. Oop. Mage slayers, trap masters, sorcerers. Uh, yep. Elemental sorcerers here. Elemental savant, chanting spirit. It's just reflavoring, changing things around, having some options here. I stole my six pack. No wonder where that's where it went. No wonder. Oh man, shaman class. Although it doesn't really need to have it. I'm glad they made a shaman class, but the shaman class is just a wizard class, just reskinning and reflavoring. There's no need to specify one over the other. There's a little. I'm going to call it a parrot messing with some gold coins and whatnot. I could also see using this setting to make first contact with the beginnings of piracy. You know, the I would dare say the across the ocean outsiders landing with their large ships or whatnot. Maybe that might be hitting a little too close to home, but to some historical events. But why not? I mean, we borrow and steal from so many other things in real life. Why wouldn't we just do that? It might even be like, in terms of first contact, what a great way to insert this setting into your maybe ongoing whatever version of Dungeons and Dragons you're playing. You could insert this in there and go, oh, by the way, you guys were in a sailing ship. A storm came, threw you off course, and now you're in a large series of islands and archipelagos and things like that. Here's some dice. Let's go play. Lizard scales. I love the differences between these two. I'm presuming lizard folk, although they could be anything. Lizard slash dinosaur slash uh, dragon folk. Although the artwork is here right next to a spell called lizard scales, but it's still pretty sweet. I think the other thing too, in terms of describing um, things that are around, I would switch and change a lots of the way we would describe something, like using coral and bone and wood instead of like stone and iron, as well as the fact of like making things uh, using tropical elements to describe other monsters and such. Like I brought up the displacer beast, and we expect displacer beasts to be like these black six-legged, panther-like cats with tentacles off their shoulders. But what if it's green and mossy with a like a mane or a halo of like purple and orange and yellow flowers around its neck or something, but the same dangerous cat like being, and maybe the tentacles are like roots instead, and the roots lash onto someone and grab onto the flesh instead of like ripping it apart. It's almost like it's digging into the flesh like a root would dig into something or whatever. Spell effects and such from your NPCs might be like spores or swarms of insects instead of like a fog cloud spell or something like that. I love uh, reskinning, reflavoring, reusing, repurposing, things like that. Choker of Vengeance over here, bush harness, some various weapons. Dauntless machete, rare weapon. Let me get down here and get back into the chat. Mike says, talking, John Wright, a talking parrot. You got to have that. Got to have that. Parrots putting puffins, packing problematic penguins. Ooh, I said it right the first time. Yes. Parrots punting puffins, packing problematic penguins. I love it. Hey, maybe all the player characters play birds, and their familiars are the humanoids that ride underneath them. Mike says, I can see any number of seabirds as familiars, like seagulls, cormorants. Don't know what that is. Also, sea snakes, crakes, eels, so on. Crabs, I believe, is also a stock option. Yep, yep, absolutely. Lots of aquatic and amphibious styled animals. Mike says lizard focused crocodiles, iguanas, or monitor lizards will work too. Exactly, exactly. I absolutely agree. Strange gloves to have that are like water styled gloves, fluid modulation gloves. Really strange, but kind of cool. Magic items, things like that. So this setting book covers has a lot of options in it. Masks, sticky tongue mask. It looks awesome, but I think it would be pretty ridiculous because you're like wearing this thing. The sticky tongue mask looks like a Coquin's mask. The mask extends your tongue by 10 feet, making the tip of it particularly sticky. As a bonus action, you can make a grapple attempt with your tongue. That's awesome. That is awesome. Dotto. I think we're getting into the monstrous menagerie, the monster manual section of it. And here we get back into the drakes and dragons and things like that. What is it? The brine dragon? Yep, brine dragon, legendary resistance, coral drake. Also, I think adventuring wise, I think you could make a number of really cool. For me, I love having an environmental setting that's really strange and different. Anything from wrecked ships on the coast to again like an underwater grotto or like PCs have to swim underwater to get to an air pocket in a grotto. Maybe the player characters are on besieged by a storm and it's like raining and it's they're storm lashed because of the. I mean, there's so many things. I don't know. My brain is just getting it is being flooded with so many different ways um, to come up with environmental challenges that you could insert even into combat to make it different. Like for example, having a fight is one thing. Having a fight in a torrential storm is another. Like how to pose as a bullywog. Yep, comrades, a large duck-like bird. Okay. Zamar says, I would take you up on that, but there is a one-page TTRPG that's very good about you being the familiar of a recently deceased witch. Go forth and seek your revenge, small critters. I'm sure. Yes, I'm sure someone created that already, right? But I'm just being sarcastic. You know how it is. Hard to run a Caribbean dragon without Shiny from Moana coming up at the table. Ooh, yeah, that's right. As a matter of fact, Moana has a number of things that kind of fit into this, especially when it came to the depiction of. Here, let me get out of here. Especially when it came to the depiction of the, I would say the elemental. Uh, Especially when it came to the depiction of the elemental beings that are depicted at the end of Moana, the volcanic spirit that came up that was appeased by our heroes in Moana. Yeah, yeah, yeah. MacGuffins in submerged sea caves, absolutely. I'm thinking of like anything from the original Indiana Jones or Romancing the Stone, where you have uh, crevices and cliffs and um, wide expanses that are like with raging rivers and waterfalls in them, and lots of roots to hang on to, and PCs crossing, rickety old rope bridges and such. I think they would be great places. As a matter of fact, just because of the nature of the setting as well, you're going to have plenty of temples and um, I would dare say like the combination of Aztec and Mayan and native peoples temples and monoliths and things of that nature. So you still have your classic dungeons if you would prefer, but also just the idea of heavy fog, torrential rains, maybe lightning strikes and it starts to burn some of the open areas of one of these islands, and the PCs need to get from A to B as the place starts to burn down or something like that. Mike says, as an indigenous, I fully loved Moana. I dug the portrayal of spirits. Yeah. And Druden agrees as well. Moana was great. Sadly, Raya had no songs, which made it less enjoyable to me. I loved Raya as well. Oak Island style submerged money pits. Yes, yes, as a matter of fact. So guys, this is Boricubos. It is from Legendary Games. This particular version is 5th edition compatible. There is a Pathfinder 1 and Pathfinder 2 compatible edition, although it felt like I had trouble finding it. So I would just go to Legendary Games and find out from them and get it directly from them. But of course, it's also available on Drive-Thru RPG. This was a successful Kickstarter. It is still available from Legendary Games, and this game is a setting book. about the Caribbean islands and the Taino and Arawak people, and of course, plenty of and uh, fantastical elements, and really, for me, it sparks a lot of creativity. Again, as a summary, this involves the gods and their ephemeral nature with humanity, much like storms that wreck the Caribbean Isles. The gods are the same way, and they are trying to enlist the peoples in creating a air quote civil war. Because, like, is it really civil if they are different island nations? Maybe not, but they are in trying to encourage the living folk that are on the various islands to engage in these battles, and the peoples that are part of these battles. Many of them are like, I don't really want to be in your fight, but I guess I'm going to have to do it to appease you, so you don't wreck the 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 nomadic or tribal nature of how we're trying to live. Yes, but does it spark joy? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And listen, there's a lot of fantastical elements in this that I really appreciate from uh the bird folk and the frog folk and the storm folk and the volcanic folk, of course, given its own cultural twists according to this, as well as the fact that I love the color that I feel comes out of a Caribbean locale that is not often seen in role playing games. So yeah, Boricubos, I really like it. It gives you a little bit of everything from magic items to new class features. We do have monsters in the back end of it. There are 3 adventures in the book. Like I said, of course, when you have something that's kickstarted, you may wish for more art than there really is, but hey, you get what you pay for, and art at the time is very expensive. But I still like a lot of the art that they have. It is very, very emblematic of the region and the culture that exists in it. So if you're someone who's interested in something like this, please check it out, or even get some other reviews other than mine, and see if this is something you would like. Just giving a little shout out to the Caribbean peoples, and I really enjoyed this. So, guys, have a great day. We will see you tomorrow. I think tomorrow we're going to do. I'm flipping the coin between which World of Darkness books, whether it would be Vampire: The Dark Ages and it's Parisian. I'm not Parisian. Persian and Middle Eastern flavor, or whether I would do Mummy: The Resurrection. We'll do Mummy. I don't know. I was even going to do Level Up, but we'll do Mummy tomorrow. I think Mummy is in World of Darkness is like in it's like unfortunately the mistreated stepchild in that whole thing. So yeah, I'm with you there. Mike's like, if only the quality of third party art would exist in the player's handbook. Unfortunately, WotC has a laundry list because of their connection with Magic the Gathering. They've got a laundry list of great artists that they can pull from, and they do enough sales to warrant the amount of money they can spend on those artists, or the exposure a lot of those artists get. So yeah, it's I wish they would. I wish we could get access to those folks. So anyway, guys, this is a review of Boricubos and the Lost Isles. Uh, you know, you want to archipelago island hopping style fantasy for your game? Come here. Anyway, guys, have a great one. I will see thee later. Bye.